Okay, does everybody have a copy of the DCO report?
Yes.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and I think we're getting a real good job done there. To entertain a motion to accept it?
I'll make a motion to accept the DCO's report.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Artie, I'm sorry, we'll get back to your 284 agreement. What's the board's pleasure on the 284 agreement? Would you like time to look it over? You all set with it? Tell me what your pleasure is. We have to approve it and give it back to Mr. Logan. Basically, this is us agreeing to pay for all the fun he's having. What's your pleasure?
I just wanted to take a glance at it real quick.
Sure.
Do you have copies for everyone, or?
No, I got
I just made the two, that, I gotta have it done.
Right.
Would you rather have a copy?
Can I just peek at that first?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. If the board, wants a copy, we'll have someone make copies and we'll come back to it.
Yeah, this is just the framework. We've amended and changed these as the year goes on, depending on what happens. So this is just the framework.
Every day we have weather, we're subject to change rules. So,
Well, like last year, we wanted to chip seal some roads and we found out we couldn't use the money, so we
Right.
just moved it to somewhere else.
Right.
So,
it's a fluid thing.
yes.
I'll make the motion that, I've already entered this agreement for the highway improvement.
Motion to accept the 284 agreement with the highway superintendent. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, can I pass this around and everybody sign it, and we'll have it done before we get out of here?
You need signature on both of them, Marty?
Yeah, well, I keep one and one goes to the county.
I'll sign it.
And we give, after you guys sign it, I make a copy.
Okay.
My mother keeps a copy of it.
Yes, mothers.
Okay, the town clerk.
Wow.
You're tough.
A lot of people think it's funny that my mother's town clerk. I said, if I need help, I go see the town clerk. I said, she's almost gotta help me, she's my mother.
All right, well, we're passing that around. What's next here? We don't have anything from Lots?
Yep.
Do you have a written report? Well, you didn't give us, you didn't get it, it wasn't there when I handed out.
Sorry.
Okay, the next report is the assessor's report. Just take a minute to read it. on the assessor's report to accept it.
I'll make the motion on accepting the assessor's report.
I'll second it.
And a second. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, guys, raise your hands or whatever.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Did everybody get a report from Justice Diger?
Looks like the year-end report.
The, residents didn't get one, just the board members. I don't know if you wanna read it or not, so
Okay, dear Linda. Isn't that nice?
no. Yeah.
For the year ending December 31st, 2017, the town of Palatine Court presided over the following cases: 705 vehicle and traffic, 121 penal law, 6 ag and markets, 10 civil cases, 10 environmental conservation cases, 11 felony arraignment, 4 New York State Building Code, 3 New York State Public Health Law, 8 New York sales tax violations. The court collected a total of $76,985.46 for fines, fees, and surcharges. This amount was given to the town of Palatine supervisor for deposit at the beginning of each month. A total of $34,800.96 was retained by the town as shown in the monthly distribution summary. The amount that was retained by the town is an increase of $11,394.12 from the 2016 calendar year. My records are always available for inspection upon request. If you or the board have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Ronald Diger.
He's a busy man.
He is a busy man. Yeah. And the court activity is increasing, the dollars are going up. I don't know if it's great to find people all the time, but whatever. Okay, do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion to accept his report.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
Could we attach this to what you had brought up earlier with the communications? And I know they were looking for an audit, but, I
Well,
mean, it would be a good idea to attach this year-end report to the same, for what they're looking for too.
yeah, I don't know what's involved with the audit, I'm ignorant, okay, I haven't studied it. And that's one thing I had hoped to turn over to an accountant to maybe provide me with a single piece of paper that says the annual audit is performed so-and-so. I've got a stack of books home like that I haven't read them all. So, 24 days, I'm a little shy on all this stuff.
I just think this is a good idea to attach it with that, maybe even a couple years back, 'cause I'm sure you've got other
I've got a
years.
filing system that'll end up in with regard to the court. We're looking at renovations for the court. We're going to be doing things there, so all that stuff is important. Okay. Assessor Laux, Ashton, Highway Superintendent, C.O. Thornburg, the building inspector.
Oh, we gotta vote on that.
Oh, yeah, we did
I'm
vote.
sorry. Yeah, all those in favor say aye.
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 We got a motion in a second. Okay. All those opposed? I guess we got it done. All right, Town of Palatine, building inspector. 3-page report.
I'm happy to see that house is finally starting to come down. Failing Hill Road.
It is?
We have a very active professional building inspector. He's good at what he does. He also was doing other townships in the area, and it's great. Do I have a motion to accept this report?
So moved.
Or a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. You're on, Mom.
Okay, I've started collecting taxes, already, I hit the 800,000 mark. They're coming in pretty good, and that's not including any of the bank yet, so I've got the banks to come in yet. I did already hand over the check to the town has their check for, their share of the taxes, and I will be going down next Thursday to the county to, take their share down next Thursday. So,
That's basically the tax share funding the 2018 budget.
right. I'm done.
That's it, Mom?
That's it, I've been busy, other than that.
Well, we'll come back to these amounts of money that you're handling at a little later date
Okay.
here and what is going on. Okay, the planning board, do we have anything from the planning board? Okay, no report then. All right, I guess, my ad hoc committee here, my stuff is next. Okay, the board package that I gave the board members, it's labeled board package. The third page down, the first two pages are just a rough outline of what's going on here next. All right, it's important to note with all of this, I want to be sure everybody understands, this is all taxpayer money, and I went at this project in December. All right, the town budget year is from January to December. You load the budget in January with the real property taxes, and the town takes 12 months to spend the money. So at the expiration of the 12 months, you would expect most of the money to be gone. As you can see, we get further into this. I use just one account for an example of what goes on here. And the balance in that account is over $960,000 at that point in time. Okay? Now another time frame here that's important, the next paper down, is the 1999 investment policy passed by the town of Palatine. You'll note my comments earlier about the supervisor contracting for the town. It's a no-no in town law. The contracting ability of this organization lies with the board. Contracts are not supposed to be done without board approval. I had a hard time unlocking this next contract. Third-party custodian agreement. Mellon Bank was giving us statements, updating in the $1 million category, $1.3 million, $1.2 million. It'll vary by $200,000-300,000. But basically, those securities that we can't hold are put in our name as collateral in case somebody steals the money out of our checking account over $250,000. And since one account is always in the $700,000 to $900,000 to $1 million range, that's a pretty big risk. This investment policy, again, was 1999. This agreement with Mellon Bank, this third-party agreement, Look on the next to the last page. It was signed by Miles Frazier, March 6, 1997. All right? The supervisor negotiated a contract between Mellon Bank and Central National Bank and the town of Palatine, basically to protect funds. I'm sure at that time there wasn't the amount of money flying around that there is now, and Mr. Frazier, rightfully so, wanted to protect that money. When I started on this exercise, December 16th, none of these bankers would talk to me. Then I went back to them after our organizational meeting with a certificate from the Board of Elections saying I was elected, and with a letter with 4 banks' names on. I didn't go with 4 different letters. I wanted all those banks to see that I was talking to all the other banks. And lo and behold, January 16th, this agreement showed up. That's a full month after I asked for it. You know, I've had 3 ex-supervisors and people who know banking try to straighten me out all this time. Try to tell me what this is all about. Well, you look at the Mellon agreement. I did totals on our checking accounts, and they're supposed to be guaranteeing our money. Well, the basic town accounts, there's 9 of them, add up somewhere's $250,000 to $300,000 short of the figure shown on the Mellon Bank agreement, which is the next paper down. You heard what Linda collected in taxes in the last 3 weeks. And our balances on our accounts, she just gave me an update on them, is still in the $1 million territory. Now, she's collecting $700,000, and our balances are in the $1 million category. How come the Mellon Bank agreement doesn't go up? In which accounts are not insured? It's a very simple answer once you get to understanding what this stuff. Our accounts are insured by custodian. All right? I am the custodian of the town of Palatine's accounts. I am also responsible for what the town clerk handles, but I am not the custodian of those accounts. Linda is the custodian of those accounts. So, somewhere along the line here, either part of the town of Palatine's accounts are not insured, or the town clerk's accounts are not insured until she turns the money over and the money's gone. So, rather than chase that rabbit, you continue on down the stack of papers here. What I am proposing, there's 3 pages in the town law manual, and my own experience tells me there's other ways to do this stuff. Basically, Mellon Bank was charging Central National for the protection, and Mellon Bank was taking the interest on the instruments they were putting up. They weren't giving it to us. I just finished counting up the W-2s, and for our somewhere's in the neighborhood of $1 million worth of deposits, we what's the total on the W-2s? I think it's $300.
A little over $300.
$398. We got $398 interest on somewhere's north of $1 million in deposits. I wouldn't be happy if that was my money. I don't know. Apparently, for a lot of years, the town has been happy. And I must admit, the banking business is lighting up now. Interest rates have been in the cellar. They're coming out. We can take advantage of that. I am recommending a 3-bank arrangement. Only one account in one bank will need any kind of insuring agreement. And that was very clear to me today. I walk in here and I told Linda to get rid of the money just as quick as she can to the municipality she has to give it to, all right? She hands me a check for $347,000 and I go over and stick it in the bank right away. It's not covered. Either it wasn't covered when I took it to the bank, or it wasn't covered when she had it, in one of those two accounts. I don't really know which. All right? So if we go to a three-bank agreement and one account insured, the other two banks can handle up to $250 at a rip, and the money doesn't have to set in the bank. There's a difference between a CD and a T-bill. Now, if you buy a certificate of deposit, it's exactly what it means. The money sets in the account. All right? That's a certificate of deposit. If you buy a treasury bill, I found a bank that'll buy T-bills for us. You get the money into that bank buys the T-bill, that money goes off and is loaned to the federal government. Now, we have to use federally insured or federal government instruments. And you know, when that money leaves, 3 or 4 days later, you can shovel another batch of money in there because it's not in the account. I'm not recommending we do that with all the reserve that we have. Another player came to the table today with these three banks. I told the other two that we would be buying T-bills through one bank, and the other bank calls me back. This is a week after I negotiated with them. Oh, we'll buy T-bills for you. So I want three banks in competition all the while with our business. That's what I'm up to. And if you set it up electronically, there's no money carted around town. And the other advantage there, the town's general fund. Every time we hand out a check, you're handing out the bank routing number and account number. And that's the account that's been carrying all the money in it. All right? If that account gets hacked, they aren't going to hack it for $5. They're going to hack it for all of it. And even though we have insurance, I've been in that business a long time. When that kind of money disappears or you have that kind of a loss, the lawyers, the claims adjusters, everybody comes out of the woodwork, and it's a long time before you get your money back. Rather than have that, we don't have to have more than a month's worth of bill paying ability in that account at a time. Those other accounts will be in the background with no checks. It's just a lot cleaner arrangement. Copy of my letter to NBT Bank, they're all mad at me. A copy of my letter to Key Bank. We're blessed, all right? We now have three banks in this area that are FDIC insured. We had two up until just recently. Now we have three banks. So your $250, $50,000 insurance arrangement can be times three. It's per custodian in each institution. So you got the $250 in all three banks. And by the way, I can give a deposit to NBT and have NBT turn around and deposit it in Key Bank, because NBT then becomes the custodian of that money, not the town of Palatine. But we have to do it by contract. Our lawyer right now is working on that, and she is working, you'll see down here further, my proposal to hire Mr. Becca. You see the page that has all the players on it. Mr. Becca, well, starting back in December again, I went to Bonadito Group and I went to West to try to, I know they have the expertise, they're large, they can handle it. I set up a meeting with the Bonadito Group in this room. They picked the time and they picked the date. And don't you know, they called me before the meeting and they had bigger fat to fry. They didn't want to mess with me. They're working with the county right now on their investment plan. It's a mess. West and Company, there's other reasons that well, they're a little proprietary. I just do not mess with them. Mr. Becca was on the board of directors when Patriot Bank was founded. He set up the bank routing. He set up all the money transfer system in conjunction with a data processing man that I've used for 40 years. They know the game. I can put the outline together, but to make this whole thing hit the road and work, I need those two experts. And by the way, the data processing people are the ones that set up the security for Patriot Bank that got sold to Kinderhook. And now Kinderhook wants the fellow who's been doing stuff for Patriot to help them with the rest of their banks. That's how strong that player is. I don't know, going from here, exactly what the costs will be. I think, I don't know data processing that thoroughly. I have to have experts tell me what to do and how to do it. So what I've done, I've asked a technician to come in here and tell me what I have to do, what equipment cost is involved, if any. We might be in, from what I see, pretty good shape there. We'll have to set up different routers than we have now to transfer money. But basically, I'm thinking I can have it done in maybe 30 days, but I need a contract with Mr. Beckett. Now, Mr. Beckett also is very familiar with municipal accounting. He's licensed. We have to have a licensed accountant. The guys I'm used to using, I can't use because they haven't got a license to do municipalities. This fellow is licensed. And he also is very familiar with town audits. And he will work with me getting through what we have to do to answer, well, you'll see later on down in this presentation, I have a letter going to State Audit and Control. And once they see Mr. Beckett's name, I'm sure we can go step by step, take our time and do it right. This page, it isn't pretty, it's in my handwriting. We're talking about the difference between $395 a year and coming up, if my $1 million example is halfway close, we'll enjoy about $20,000 a year in interest. So we'll pick up $20,000 doing this. We would have had to spend the $5,000 for Mr. Beckett anyway. And I'm going to chew up a little bit of our attorney time, an attorney agreement. Mrs. Dunn is very anxious to do the work.